So I'm sure you're all plenty aware of the Vic Mignogna situation by now. If you're not an anime fan or you've been living under a rock, then here's the brief rundown. Voice actor Vic Mignogna, best known for voicing Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist and Broly from Dragon Ball, came under fire in January for sexual harassment allegations. These allegations stemmed from the notion that he was too affectionate and borderline creepy with his fans at conventions, but people would have been more willing to forgive that with time. However, a short while after these allegations began to surface, which I should mention coincided perfectly with the release and smashing success of Dragon Ball Super Broly, two prominent voice actresses in the anime scene, Jamie Marchi and Monica Rial, came forward to accuse Mignogna not of harassment but of outright assault. These allegations have derailed Mignogna's career, causing both Funimation and Rooster Teeth, his primary employers in the Texas voice acting scene, to fire him. Mignogna has now retained a law firm to go after the people who have sabotaged his career, and that's pretty much the gist of it. There are, of course, a few details I haven't mentioned and won't expound upon, such as Rial's Twitter meltdown that spawned a copypasta, or Mignogna's alleged homophobia, because there's some combination of greatly exaggerated, outright false, or unrelated to what I'm about to go into. Personally, I'm a person who errs on the side of Mignogna in this case. Why isn't important. Just know that it's not because I'm a fan of his work or anything like that. I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball, nor have I watched Fullmetal Alchemist. The only familiarity I have with his voice work is when he played Junpei Iori in Persona 3, a game I played exactly 3 hours of, and when he voiced E123 Omega, in which his voice work is nothing special because it requires no emotion. Look at me, I am E123 Omega. I can do the voice just as well as the next guy. So leave the fanboy arguments out the door, okay? Okay. So now that the recap and my personal feelings have been covered, let's get to the actual topic of this video. While many of you may feel that Funimation treated Mignogna unfairly, there's no reason to be surprised. Funimation is a horrible company with little regard to treating its valuable employees fairly. How do I know this, you ask? Simple! Glassdoor reviews!
Oh, but you can't trust those. Glassdoor doesn't verify employment.
Right you are! It's because of this and a variety of other factors that Glassdoor can't be trusted completely. However, for a relatively smaller company like Funimation, which usually maintains a lot of fan goodwill, I don't think there would be a great number of fake employees going out of their way to leave them negative reviews in the same way people would for a company like, say, EA or YouTube. I also don't think the possibility that some of these reviews are false or exaggerated should stop us and the rest of the world from knowing what possible employees think of Funimation as an employer. With that, let's dive into some of these reviews. As of me publishing this video, Funimation has 41 reviews on Glassdoor. 6 of these reviews gave them 5 stars, 6 gave them 4 stars, 7 gave them 3, 15 gave them 2, and 7 gave them only 1, with one review in particular expressing that they wish they could give them 0. This means that out of 41 reviews, more than half of them would rate their experience as below average or horrible. Let's read a couple of these reviews.
Oh, but you're only going to read the negative reviews. You're too biased.
You know what? You're right. I might be a bit too biased to do this objectively. So, let's pick an objective category to decide which reviews I read. Let's see. Oh, how about the helpfulness rating? Given that Funimation isn't a company like EA and is generally well liked by fans, people would have very little reason to scroll through Glassdoor and mark negative reviews as helpful. Unless, of course, they were actually employees and believed the reviews were true. Right?
Yes.
Awesome! Glad we agree. Okay, so the most helpful review would be this one right here, titled Cannibalistic Orwellian Nightmare, by a former employee, with 40 people having marked the review as helpful. It reads as follows. I worked at Funimation full-time. Pros. There's a 20-word minimum for pros, but I honestly can't come up with 20 positive things to say about this horrifying, soul-sucking black hole. I'm only giving them 1 star because I don't have the option to not give them any. Cons. Where to begin? It would be easier to talk about what isn't wrong with Funimation, where you should be watching. You're back. The employees hate each other. The infighting overshadows the actual objective 9 times out of 10, and the work quality suffers as a result. Management refuses to do anything. The company actively hates the fan base. You know, those people who buy their product, line their pockets, and keep the lights on in the building? Yeah, them. The word fan is practically a slur at Funimation. You are ridiculed at Funimation for being too much of a fan. Numerous times, things that fans say or post online are openly ridiculed for all to hear throughout the building. Anime fans, when you buy products from Funimation, you're essentially giving money to people who think you are stupid. They have no respect for the Japanese licensors. HR is a joke. For months, we didn't even have an HR person. Pay is not even just below industry standards, it's more or less below the poverty line. People are routinely run out the door to satisfy the blood grudges of the calcified old guard. Zero job security, zero opportunities for advancement, zero hope. Harassment may as well be one of their core values. Covering your ass is more important than doing a good job. There is more infighting and gossip than there is support and teamwork. People are fired mysteriously and without explanation. There is a constant human crush of people clawing their way out the door, and to top it all off, the place is disgusting. People are constantly sick. If they fire you for no reason, they'll try to fight your unemployment. They'll lose, of course, but it's still annoying. When you get a new job, they'll refuse to verify your employment. It remains to be seen if they are aware that there are federal processes in place to protect employees and ex-employees from their immature, vindictive attempts to keep people from moving on with their lives. Funimation is the Ed Hardy of the anime industry. Working here was like being in an Orwell novel. You'll show up on your first day, bright-eyed and filled with excitement, and leave in a body bag, covered in graffiti and riddled with bullet holes. Just don't do it. You'd be better off working in public sanitation. You'd probably be paid better too. Advice to management. Look, we all know you're posting fake reviews on Glassdoor to try to counteract the negativity, okay? Stop that. It's obvious and embarrassing. Instead of doing the equivalent of spraying a $2 aerosol room deodorizer into a desecrated Walmart bathroom, why don't you actually clean up the way you're treating your employees? That way you won't have to be so worried about what they'll say about you when they leave. When your abysmal company culture has inspired a post-Funimation recovery group for ex-employees to reconnect and help each other find work, you're doing something very, very wrong. Well, that was, a bit of a doozy. We'll come back to that in a minute. I want to go on to the second most helpful review, titled, When You Realize the Dream Has Actually Become the Nightmare. This was written by a current employee of 8 years, with 33 people having marked the review as helpful. It reads as follows. Pros. You'll work with some of the greatest people ever. It's those awesome people that make leaving this company difficult. Free anime, flexible hours. Cons. There are some departments completely overworked while others have nothing to do. The production area is expected to basically be on call 24/7, even though when hired you were told that days like that are minimal, and that there will be minimal weekend work. I work 6 to 7 days a week. There was a time when our department took pride in what it did, and it was most definitely a quality versus quantity mentality. Now it's all about cranking out shows as fast as possible, and the quality has severely declined. Employees are treated poorly. There's absolutely no communication between our director and us. We've had 3 management members, the people who were supposed to be the go-between between us and our director, quit in the last year, 2 of which had been there 7 and 10 plus years. It's a shame upper management clearly feels threatened by suggestions from those of us at the bottom of the totem pole. We don't want your job, but it sure would be nice if you would act like you cared enough to listen to our concerns. The majority of us are so terrified of being fired for some BS reason that we don't feel that we can be honest with upper management, because it is always blatantly obvious how easily replaceable we are. The resentment of employees is astounding. When I was hired in 2008, the employees were much happier and everyone felt that they were serving a purpose and putting out a good quality product. Now, if you had the chance to be a fly on the wall during any employee conversation, especially those in production, you would hear the same conversation repeatedly. Can't afford to live on my own due to the low pay, so I have to get roommates, have a second job, live at home with parents, etc. Management never listens to what employees have to say. I'm so miserable here, but the job market is so bad, I've been applying to jobs for XX months or years, and no bites. This job seriously cuts into my health/well-being due to the high level of stress. The pay is abysmal unless you are a director or someone in upper management. The CEO has no clue what is going on in this company, let alone who his employees are. The same issues have never been taken care of in the 8 years I've worked at Funny. Roof leaks every time it rains. Bathrooms are constantly in a state of disarray. Coffee machine is continually broken. The doors on the production side are always broken and therefore never lock. There are no written training manuals. Seriously, there is absolutely nothing to refer back to. How do you run a company with no training manuals? The office politics are disgusting. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and the person you think is your BFF will throw you under the bus so hard if it's their butt on the line. When you continually fire people and/or have people quitting in your department, it clearly means the issue is with the management of said department and not the employees. There's no consistency. The quality of the product has gone increasingly downhill. In order to get super awesome shows now, Funny essentially has to work on hentai and brutal BDSM quality work. It's disgusting to see day in and day out. Not enough room for new employees. Advice to management. Figure out a system to promote from within. Utilize the many talents of the various employees you already have instead of looking outside the company. You have some shining stars with a variety of neat backgrounds. Take advantage of that. Stop posting fake reviews on here to counteract the negative ones. Instead, read what the negative reviews are saying and do something to fix the issues. They all seem to be saying the same thing. Bonuses should be issued company-wide and not just to the already rich upper management. Pay raises need to happen. Many of us haven't had a raise in 5+ years, and that is not due to performance issues. That was another depressing one, to be sure. I could read more reviews detailing the many horrors of the Funimation work environment, but I don't want to make this video into a feature-length film. So, here are the highlights. High turnover rate. No room for advancement. Comically low pay. Living on food stamps. Lack of communication. Clueless COO. Plagiarism. Management leaving positive reviews. No employee bonuses. Rampant sexism. Racism. Nepotism. Filthy bathrooms. Leaky roof. No parking. Cramped office quarters. Rick Santorum. Sketchy/illegal accounting practices. Tens of millions in negative cash flow. And so much more at Funimation, where you should be watching. You're back. Let's dive into a couple of the specifics here. There are a couple of things in particular I want to call attention to in these reviews. Firstly, both of them call attention to Funimation being a dog-eat-dog world, and that people you think you can trust throw you under the bus to cover their ass. This is particularly interesting, given how quickly it seemed Rial and company turned on Mignogna after the initial allegations started to come forward. Think about it. Rial, Marky, and others acted like Mignogna's friends for years, showing up at conventions with him, in photos with him, and playfully tweeting back and forth with him. Not once ever acting uncomfortable with the man who allegedly assaulted them, until 15 years later, when it was finally convenient to do so. If the office politics are truly as disgusting as these reviewers claim, it's quite plausible that they could have opted to throw Mignogna under the bus in order to get ahead. Really makes you think. Secondly, both reviews mention that they believe upper management at Funimation is leaving 4- and 5-star reviews to offset the negative ones. You might think that's a bit paranoid. So let's take a look at a couple of the 5-star reviews and look for ones that stink of corporate jargon or falsehoods. Out of all these reviews, there are two in particular that really stick out. Most of the content of these two reviews is blatantly contradicted by the statements made in other negative reviews, such as the pay being above industry standard, the employees being happy, and upper management actually giving a shit. I think it's safe to file these under the corporate bullshit category. What this means, though, is that Funimation does care about their outward appearance to potential hirees. This is important because several of these reviews mention a high turnover rate, meaning percentage of employees leaving a company over a certain period of time. This means a lot of job openings, which means a lot of people have the opportunity to work at Funimation. Given the number of people that use Glassdoor to check for employment, it's clear why Funimation would want to maintain a satisfactory rating if their work environment really is such a horrible place to work in. They want people to think they're a great place to work, when in reality they're probably not. They need a steady influx of hirees to offset the amount of employees jumping ship, and the best way to maintain an influx of hirees is to make it seem like your company isn't a nightmarish hellhole. That brings me, finally, to the main point of this video, the call to action, if you will. I know no shortage of people want to pay Funimation back for what they perceive as unfair or biased treatment of Mignogna. The easiest way to do that is to not buy their product, of course, but surely there must be something else people can do, right? Well, remember how I said earlier that Glassdoor doesn't verify your employment before leaving a review? Well... Alright, listen closely. I'd like to help, but I can't. I'd like to tell you to create a Glassdoor account and leave a believable but negative review on the site, but I can't. I also do not advise you to create multiple accounts to tank the review score as much as possible. I would also not advise you to share this video or this plan as much as possible for maximum effect. I'd like to help, but there's nothing I can do.
Oh, thank you, young man.
Is the stupid Vic fanboy upset? Pretend to be upset.
Show me the evidence!
You believe in innocent until proven guilty?
Well, no, Mr. Schemmel. I was just saying that maybe we
Alright, that's it. My DMs are always open. You think I'm beta? Write me. I'm not messing around. Got it? I've been in touch with law enforcement, and the next step will be FBI!
And if any of you would feel guilty about doing this, think of it this way. Management is clearly spreading fake reviews on the site to silence the concerned warnings of their employees. How many people have been lured into the Funimation snare after reading some of the positive reviews and seeing the low but not dangerously low overall review score? You'd actually be doing a lot of prospective hirees in the future a great service if your efforts managed to convince them to stay as far away from Funimation as possible. Just think of the potential damages to the Funimation workplace as a sort of a bonus. This has been The Throwaway. See you around.